2015, you published a paper about the effects of import competition shocks on the political polarization of the United States. So we would like to ask you if you think that automation and other technological shocks could lead to these effects too.
Well, my sense is that the impact of globalization on political outcomes is channeled through outcomes in the labor market. And when we look at the labor market, there is on the one hand the clear sense that a lot of manufacturing jobs have been lost due to automation, probably more than the number of manufacturing jobs lost to globalization. But I think that oftentimes the way in which globalization led to job loss has been more hurtful for workers, because it often means that if sudden shifts in competition make whole sectors no longer competitive, then you have many shutdowns of big factories, and these very, very concentrated job losses are especially bad and hurt people especially much.
Okay, so I mean the effects of automation in the labor market, you studied also that is mainly job polarization, right?
Yes, so far there is relatively limited and mixed evidence on job loss related to technology. There are now some new studies that look at data on industrial robots. Some of them find that industries that adopt more industrial robots have substantial reductions in employment. Other studies using the same data find that there is basically no employment change, so it's not really quite clear what the pattern is. What is very clear is that many jobs are shrinking very rapidly because of automation. We see that in a lot of office jobs, like accounting clerks, for instance. We see that in a lot of production jobs, especially all those that work on conveyor belts and repetitive production motions. But while these jobs are shrinking, we see a lot of other jobs growing.
And what could we imply in terms of like inequality effects?
Yeah, so I do think the most worrisome situation is basically twofold. I think there is a challenge in adjusting to automation-related job loss when it becomes very rapid, also when it affects older people who are often at greater difficulty in finding new jobs later. But perhaps the biggest problem is really the effect on inequality, because we see that many of these jobs that are being lost are jobs out of the middle of the income spectrum, especially in the manufacturing sector. There have been historically some fairly highly paid jobs, even for people who did not have university education, and those people who had sort of a good middle class life with manufacturing jobs now see these jobs disappearing, and oftentimes the types of jobs that still would be available for these people with less training are much lower paid jobs in restaurants or in cleaning, etc.
And so you think that through this mechanism, the effect on political polarization could be observed?
The big challenge I think that Western democracies are experiencing is that many Western countries have not been able to improve life standards for a large part of their populations over the past several decades. So we see a combination of three very problematic developments. The first one is that economies are just no longer growing very fast. And then out of that just very slowly growing pie, a shrinking piece of the pie goes to workers. The share of workers in total income is falling, and then within this shrinking slice, the distribution on individual workers is becoming more and more equal. It's the very highly skilled people who get more, and then you will have many less skilled people who get a shrinking part out of a shrinking slice, out of a slowly growing pie, and that just does not add up together well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.